Hi everybody, this is Mucha Marapa from Matrix Global Media, and welcome to Ask the Expert, where I call on some of the very best online marketers, industry experts and authoritative minds and ask them to share with us what they're doing, what they know and what they've learned. Facebook just continues to grow from strength to strength. Once seen as a platform for kids, teenagers and adults with very little else to do, Facebook is now a massive player in the way we communicate, and I warn any business, large or small, to dismiss the power and ability of Facebook to advance their business, products or services at their expense. In the expert field, one lady in particular has gained a level of understanding of Facebook that many, myself included, can only dream about. And the fact she continues to delve deep into this phenomenon in order to serve her ever-growing army of followers, of which I proudly call myself one, is the reason I'm delighted to welcome Jo Barnes of the Social Networking Academy to this podcast. Jo, thanks ever so much for taking the time to speak with me. We finally get to speak again.
Thank you so much, Mucha. What an introduction. Wow, I'm not sure I can live up to that.
Flattery will get you everywhere. First things first, how is the Social Network Academy going? What's going on? I know you're incredibly busy. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's going really well. Thank you very much. We are at week 8 of our 90-day coaching program. So for the first 3 months that people come on board, they're greeted with a 90-day coaching program to take them step by step through the journey of learning how to create a business online using the power of social media. I decided to do the coaching program live from when we launched. So we're at week 8 at the moment, which is traffic, and that's going very well. And we have weekly coaching calls, which I was on them last night, so they go very well. And just think about social media. It just gives me so much content all the time to put on the site to keep everybody interested. Now, of course, we've got Google Plus that's just joined us, and I've been playing with that for the last few days. So that's very, very exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing the future of Google Plus and Facebook together. And of course, Facebook have just announced brand new features this week with the video chat and the group chat and all of that kind of stuff. So never-ending change and content that keeps me completely interested in social media. I love it.
Okay, fantastic. Now, taking half a step back, Jo, obviously, this Ask the Expert, which I enjoy doing, and I've spoken to several people from the, online marketers, people have been there. You, without a shadow of a doubt, are a rookie compared to some of these guys. I mean, some of the ones I'm speaking to, 10, 15, 20, 25 years in the industry. Yet in many ways, you're still a wee baby, but you're just really moving up the scale. Could you tell us a brief summary of the Jo Barnes story thus far?
Oh, you're so right, Mucha. I am. I really am a bit of a newbie. I started in March 2010. We are now, where are we now? Beginning of July 2011. And I dabbled for about 6 months, really. I took the path I think many new online marketers take, and some unfortunately never get out of. And that was to dabble in this, dabble in that, buy lots of bright shiny object type courses, dream that I was going to make $1 million overnight with not too much work involved. And all of that kind of stuff. And then in August last year, I kind of fell over Facebook. I listened to a webinar with one of my great mentors, a guy called Chris Farrell, and he was talking about Facebook at the time. And I kind of got a bit of a bee in my bonnet, actually, about building fan pages and welcome pages for free. I felt that the companies out there were offering these services were charging a lot of money, and I thought maybe there was a way you could do it free, and I found a way and started to offer that for free to anybody who'd listen, really. And it just exploded. There was clearly a market for it, and I just started to build my reputation, and with that I just dropped everything else I was doing, really focused completely on Facebook. I mean, that was the moment everything changed, I think. Two major mind shift changes happened. Number one, I went from how can I get more customers? How can I, get more and make money and actually monetize this business and all the rest of it? Two, how can I get my message out to as many people as possible so that people aren't going and paying for this stuff when they can do it free? So my mind shift changed from how can I make money to how can I give value? Almost without me knowing it, really. And then the second big mind shift change was focus. I just stopped doing everything else and totally focused on Facebook, and then it just exploded from there. And within 8 months, I'd built a list of over 15,000 people on my database. I'd sold over 1,100 of my very first product, 2,000 fans, in 27 days. And then I did my first six-figure launch in April, which was the Social Networking Academy.
And I mean, I think that's how I I know for a fact that's how I first sort of came across you. It was last year, and like what you've just said, I began to see the real need to have a landing page on someone's Facebook business page. You know, you needed to have, instead of going straight to that wall, they needed to go to that landing page, and people were just like charging an absolute arm and a leg, and I believe I found you, it was either through some Facebook advertising or something else like that, and then all of a sudden, you know, here you are just sort of saying, here you go guys, knock yourselves out, and not only that, I'll take you by the hand and I'll show you how to do that. And I just thought, you know, the usual stuff, particularly here, I just think, you know, normally you don't get nothing for nothing, but you were certainly doing that. You were just sort of giving, and as a result, we all began to follow you.
It's about building a relationship. It's almost I don't know if anybody's seen that film Pay It Forward. It's almost like that. You know, I don't know. I have a very abundant mindset, I think is probably the best way to put it, and I have a huge belief in that you reap what you sow. And I really did get very, but you have to kind of mean it almost. I really did get very passionate about the fact that I wanted to show people how to do this for nothing. Yeah, I did get really quite a bee in my bonnet. And the more I did, the more people told me they wanted more. And I tried to provide more. But at the end of the day, you do have to reach a point where you've got to make a living. So with the Social Networking Academy, what I tried to do, I sat down and brainstormed for a long time the best way forward. And I'd always said I didn't want a membership site. I'd always said I don't want a membership site. It's really hard work. There's so much to it. You know, I'll be giving myself a job really, which isn't the idea here. But I couldn't think of another way where I could, because I get so passionate about all the different subjects that I want to cover. I love learning, and then I love videoing what I'm learning and training. I just love it. I love it. Google Plus is blowing me away at the moment, getting into all of that, and I immediately made a video all about it and all the rest of it, because I just love learning new stuff. And that's why one of the reasons that I've loved Facebook so much, because it changes so much. I know other people find that really frustrating, but that's what I love about it. And what I wanted to do with the Social Network Academy is put all of my training in one place that everybody could get at a really low cost. So in other words, I was doing the kind of Henry Ford approach, which is, you know, out to the masses in an affordable way, which is a win-win, because it means other people can now get all of my information for not very much money, and I can give as much as I can and simply get as many members as possible on the site, which helps me, you know, from a financial point of view suits me, and from an information point of view suits the customers. So it's really about, when you're starting your business and you're thinking about what you want to do and how to get your message out there, you really do need to give massive value, not just a little bit of value, not just a half an ebook or anything like that and think, oh, you know, I need to turn that into a sale really quickly. Give as much as you possibly can to begin with. Build that relationship, build that trust, make sure that people know that you really do provide huge value. And then when you've built that relationship, because that's what today is all about, that's what social marketing is all about, it's all about relationship marketing. And once you've built those relationships and people feel that they trust you, they know you're an authority, they know you're going to give them the very latest of information, they have a great relationship and a bond with you, then when you do produce a product, number one, you're going to be producing it on the back of feedback from your customers, so you're going to know that you're providing something that they want, and secondly, they are going to buy that product from you because they know that you are going to give huge value within your product. So don't be scared of giving lots and lots of valuable information for free up front.
Fantastic. Now, social media in general, and I just remember, you know, one of my best friends who I actually grew up with, he's got quite a big social media agency and looks after some big hitters, and it was about 2 years ago he said to me, hey Much, I've been looking around for you, la-di-da-di-da, and he says, and I've noticed you don't do social media. And Joe, I was so condescending with my response to him, because like everybody else, I thought it was about, I thought Twitter was about saying how nice Cheryl Cole was looking last week, and about Facebook, YouTube YouTube was about the stag weekend I had in Amsterdam with all my pals and all the rest of it. There was so much, if you like, I had a stereotype of social media. And then when I began to see how social media can play a real role, particularly for that small business, that entrepreneur, that self-employed person, I just began to look at it in a total different way. When did you actually begin to look at social media and understand, wow, this is huge, this is massive?
Yeah, well, it started in August, and I was just like you. I couldn't bear Facebook. In fact, when I had my offline business, I had a business in property a few years back, and one of my marketing guys actually started to build me a presence on Facebook. Yeah, and I said, okay, if you want to, then do it, but I'm not really getting involved. Yeah, because I think it's a load of rubbish. Hasten to add, she was younger than me, and I just thought it was, it was a place where you told people what you'd had for breakfast the next day, and my whole attitude was, I have not got time to mess around on a ridiculous platform. I've got work to do. And when I listened to the webinars on Facebook, and then when I started to put into play my fan pages and started to connect with people on Facebook, and create my business page, and started to, research it and realize the viral effect, and the very nature of recommendation and friends liking what you do, it's just absolutely huge. And now Twitter is about to be integrated in all of the Apple devices from autumn this year, right? So every iPhone, iPad, iPod, everything that's anything got I in front of it, is going to have an automatic link through to Twitter. Wow. Facebook is growing rapidly and constantly putting in improvements into their format. Google Plus will be launching business pages. They've literally only just launched their new user profile now. They'll be launching business pages later this year. And if you think about it, websites, where are business websites right now? They're all over Google. Yeah. So the +1 button is going to be as big, if not bigger, than the Facebook like button, which is incredibly powerful. And there is nothing in this world, and this is what small businesses need to understand. And if I were a small business media coach now, and I was walking into a business's office to try and convince them to go onto social media, the one thing I would say to them is there is not one thing more powerful in this world than a recommendation from a friend. Nothing. No amount of marketing dollar, no amount of marketing spend, no amount of hoarding advertising, banner ads, display ads, leaflets, beautiful branding, all the rest of it. There is nothing in marketing that is more powerful than a friend recommending your services. And that is the absolute soul, the crux of social media.
Fantastic. So Joe, we skip along now to Facebook, because while your sort of learning curve has been steep and you are sort of covering all the social media cluster, as I like to call it, I still believe that in the eyes of many you are a huge player with Facebook in particular. So I look at the social media cluster, which Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, podcasting, blogging, and the sixth one, Twitter, of course, and Facebook is the one where you put your business on, you can do your research and so on and so forth. If we were to look at some tips for Facebook for the small business in order for someone to become a player via Facebook, what would you say, 3 tips that you would recommend to somebody?
Okay, I love Facebook. Let me just get that right out there. I'm passionate about Facebook. I think it's a wonderful platform. And I think absolutely everybody should be on it. Key tips for business are, the first thing they need to do is create a business page. Yeah, so that's very much the first thing. They need to get onto Facebook and go and create themselves a Facebook page so that they have a presence on Facebook. The second thing, which is very unusual for businesses, most businesses do not do this, and if they do, they don't do it very well, and that is to get into the mindset of collecting names and addresses of potential customers. So if I were an offline business today, I would be thinking to myself, what could I give away as a free offer to any potential customers. So can I give a report about what I do? I'm talking about something digital here, not a physical product. Could I give a report? Could I do some videos about what I do? Could I educate people in how to use my service? That kind of stuff for free. Okay. Could I give vouchers, discount vouchers, anything like that? And then, as a small business, build yourself a landing page within your Facebook page which has that offer on it and has an opt-in form, so that you can start to collect names and addresses of potential customers. Those names and addresses need to go into an autoresponder form. Again, it's something that most small businesses will not have heard of, and that means that you can begin to create an email relationship with potential customers. It's a whole new way of gathering customers, and it's a whole new free way of gathering customers. And a lot of small businesses will not understand or realize yet that they could literally halve their marketing spend and double their customers by using platforms like Facebook.
Yeah.
And they don't, and again, if from a social media consultant point of view, I'd be going into social media and citing that I can halve your marketing spend and double your customers. The third tip then, excuse me, I'm just going to cough. Excuse me. The third tip would be that once they've actually created their page and they've got a nice welcome page on there with an opt-in form and a free offer, is then the most important part of social media is building and creating engagement and relationships with your customers. Okay, so it's about having a consistent presence online. And I know this is the one bit that does scare business owners off, because it takes time. It does take time to grow engagement and a relationship with people. But if you're good and you're clever, then you could really post 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4 times on your page a day with really up-to-date, good and interesting information. And then just make sure every day for at least an hour or so you go on and just respond to people's questions, and try to sort of get to know people. So they're kind of the 3 biggies. Get yourself a business page so you have a presence. Even if you haven't got a welcome page yet, just start building your presence. Secondly, build yourself a welcome page so you can start to collect names and addresses. And thirdly, begin to create relationships and build engagement with your potential customers.
Okay, fantastic. Now, you did touch on the fact that many look at this as a bit of a time-consuming thing, and I suppose there is it's a mindset, isn't it? Because sometimes you get, somebody might be in sales or marketing and he might spend half a day, hitting the phones, cold calling people, or going out and handing things off, or at a networking thing. all avenues that work, but there needs to be a mindset to actually get onto Facebook and interact. What for the small guy, and Joe, again, I have to go back to that, who's got a certain amount of hours in a day and often at night as well. You're saying 2 to 3 times, to post something and then just monitor it, is plenty?
It's not plenty, but it will certainly help to start building you a presence. Yeah, I mean, in an absolute ideal world, you'd spend as much time on there as you possibly could, and there are so many different ways to market your brand on Facebook. So in an ideal world, you'd be out, you'd be connecting with other pages, you'd be talking, commenting on other posts. You'd be creating events, doing webinars. There's just so many different ways to market on Facebook. Now, if you do not have the financial resources to get help, and you're on your own and you're a small business owner and you've got a gazillion other things to think about as well, like actually delivering the service that you've promised to do, and looking after your overheads and doing the accounts and doing the administration and all those kind of things, then you're going to find yourself without much time to be messing around on Facebook, if you like, which is how a lot of small business owners will find it. But I mean, these days there are now very affordable companies that actually offer those services, that offer to maintain your social media presence, and therefore will post regularly on Facebook for you, and will comment back to other people's comments for you, and will go out and create engagement and stuff like that for you. So I think the benefits that you would get from having a very strong social media presence would far outweigh the time that you've got to spend to do it, depending, of course, how big a company you are and how much business you want, you know. So your presence on Facebook really does need to be down. It's down to each business's individual needs, really, as they grow, because sometimes it's not, you know, you need to grow slowly as a new small business, otherwise you know, you'll burn out.
Yeah, indeed. And I suppose, you know, going back to that is about, you know, what your requirement is via Facebook. I remember we talked about Perry Marshall's sort of questionnaire about, you know, is Facebook for me? And I've got an opinion that I think Facebook can, in some way, shape or form, work for everybody. I mean, I see preachers on Facebook, I see, you know, sports figures on there, I see financial institutions. Everyone can use it. It's just how you tweak it. How do you go through that process of saying, right, you are a mortgage advisor, therefore I think the strategy should be ABC, whereas you, on the other hand, are a teacher, so therefore it's how do you sort of learn what's acceptable for different companies to post on there, Joe? You know, it's not one size fits all, or does it all boil down to that content thing again?
It is mainly about content. Facebook is absolutely a platform for everybody, without a shadow of a doubt. There's no business that it doesn't work with. But if I were, I mean, I've been a small business owner, so I've completely been there, and I know how guys feel, certainly in the first few months of business, trying to get more customers and all that kind of stuff. And in all honesty, the biggest piece of advice I would give business owners would be to go and get advice. Go and speak to somebody who already knows about Facebook, so that they can talk to you about your goals as a business. Don't go for a company who just have this kind of one size fits all. You want to go for somebody who's going to give you a more bespoke service, and who's actually going to come to your offices, sit down, or even just have a Skype conversation with you, sit down, go through your business needs, and be able to set up a campaign for you. Now, all campaigns on Facebook are going to be relatively similar, i.e. you have a page, you have a welcome page, you know, you start to build engagement, but the variables are how much content you put on there, how often you put the content on there, and also there's so many different applications for Facebook. So you could have a really strong video presence on Facebook if you wanted to. You could have a really strong photo presence on Facebook. You could have a really strong audio presence on Facebook. You could have a really strong game type presence. You could have, you know, there are companies out there that on their Facebook page have animated games within their page, so that when you hit their page, there's things that you can do. You can make little cartoons of yourself, or you can play a little game on their page, and you know, they're reaching out to an audience, a younger audience that wants to have some fun when they reach their page. So they are the variables. There's so many different creative campaigns that you can do as a company to really encourage that engagement and that word of mouth, which is what it's all about. People going away and talking about your page and telling other people about it, and liking it, you know, so that it shows up on their news feeds. But without a doubt, as a small business, the first thing you need to do is you need to find somebody who knows about Facebook and sit down and have that conversation with them, so that they can go through your individual needs and ensure that they build a campaign that's going to fit you.
Fantastic. So we've talked about the do's on Facebook, the things that you know, you advise folks should go down the route of doing. There are no doubt some no-nos in Facebook, things that you would advise against. Would you be able to tell us 3 of those possibly?
Yeah, definitely. One of the first ones is spamming. I mean, Facebook is a wide open site where you can basically go and pitch your products all over the place. You could go onto other people's walls, you could go onto other pages' walls, and you could simply just put, hey, I'm Joe from the Social Network Academy, come and check out my site. Yeah? But if you have not been on that person's wall, if you have not created a relationship, if you've not spoken to that person, and you just go and put a post like that, that's pure and utter spam. You know, this is what social media is about. It is about building relationships. It is about having a chat, you know, and getting to know people. So spamming is a definite no-no. Another kind of way of spamming really is tagging. There's a function called tagging on Facebook, where you're able to tag other people in your videos, photos, comments, and that means that a replica of what you've just posted on your wall will be posted on the wall of the person or page that you've just tagged.
Oh, wow.
Now, tagging can be used incredibly effectively, really, really effectively, actually, even if you don't know the person you're tagging. For instance, I could, let's say I didn't know you much or at all, yeah, but you had a great page and I wanted to get in your radar, yeah, and I also kind of wanted to get in front of your fans as well. Then one way I could do that, if I hadn't been able to have the time to build a relationship with you, would be to come to your page and find a really good piece of content that you had put on your page, and then go and share it on my page and give you the credit.
Right.
So in other words, say on my page, I've just found this amazing report from at Mucha Marapa, yeah, and that would then show on your wall that I've done that. And 9 times out of 10, as a person, you're going to think, oh, that's nice, they've shared my content, not, oh, they're spamming my wall.
Yeah, sure, sure.
And as long as you're doing that with the intention of giving your customers value as opposed to spamming other people's walls, yeah, then that can be done very, very well, very effectively, very tastefully. But spamming is, tagging can also be seen as spamming. So that's probably, I mean, spamming is the biggest one, really, not to do.
Yeah.
And then the third one, really, is something I get asked a lot by people, which is about the difference between your personal profile and your business page, okay? And I get asked this question so much. And it's a really difficult one to answer. And the question is, Joe, you know, I've got a business which I want to have a presence on Facebook, but I've also got my family and friends on as my personal profile. And I don't really want to associate the two. Now, I took a decision when I went onto Facebook, which was I was using it for business purposes. So therefore, even on my personal profile, you must never do business on your personal profile. You must never try and sell anything, or, you know, create any kind of business transactions on your personal profile. Facebook do not like it. That's what business pages are for. But your personal profile is a great place for you to start looking for friends who are like-minded people within your niche who could become potential customers or potential JVs, you know. So I took a decision when I started using Facebook that I was using it for business purposes, and therefore on my personal profile I did not go out looking for old school friends, old boyfriends, old work colleagues. I went out there looking for people who were in my industry who wanted to hear what I had to say. And this gives me the opportunity to, on my personal profile, just post some videos about social media updates as and when they come out, which is a kind of a backdoor way of getting my business out there, yeah, but without overtly doing business on my personal profile. Some people have not taken that decision. They have decided they want to keep their business profile, their personal profile, for friends, and there are ways within Facebook that you can segment lists and only show your content to certain people. But I would urge anybody out there to remember that when they are on Facebook, if they are the known face behind a business, it would not be good practice to put pictures on there of you having got hammered the night before with your friends. You know, rolling around in the middle of the street or something. Absolutely. So if you've got a strong brand on the business page and you are trying to portray yourself as an authority figure, or the CEO or MD or whatever of that company, and then over on your personal page, even though you're trying to keep the two separate, you start posting, you know, risque pictures, that's probably not a good practice. You need to remember that it's very transparent, and this is why a lot of people don't like it. It's too transparent, it's too invasive, and you know, but the thing what I say to counteract that is it's your choice.
Yeah, indeed.
It's absolutely your choice how much you are willing to share on Facebook. You know, it's only invasive if you are willing to give all that information. Yeah. Facebook has a whole array of security features which allows you to choose how many people see your posts, whether it's only your friends, whether it's only you that want to see certain posts, or why you do that I don't know, but whether it's only friends or whether it's friends of friends or whether it's everybody. You know, you get to pick your security choices and you get to choose how much information about yourself you put on Facebook. So anyway, that's my third tip.
Fantastic. Now, Joe, I know your time's very valuable. I've just got a few more questions. Are you okay for another 10, 15 minutes?
Yep, no problem at all.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Selling, Joe. I think for the longest time, and myself as well. I've always gone down the route of sort of saying, guys, just remember, people don't go to Facebook to sell and la-di-da-di-da. But, folks go to your Facebook page, and we're going to talk about the Social Networking Academy before we finish, and they feel very cozy and happy, and let's be totally honest, they want to continue to engage with you. What is your thought process, Joe, about whether you sell directly from Facebook, or will you always send them over to your website or to your blog in order to do that transaction? What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, people don't go to Facebook to buy, or previously people have not gone to Facebook to buy. The landscape is changing. More and more people are using the Facebook ads platform, which is a really good advertising platform. More and more people are getting used to seeing ads now and clicking on those. But 9 times out of 10, the ads themselves don't send you to sales pages. They send you to websites, blogs, squeeze pages, that kind of stuff. I would never, in a million years, I would never send people directly to a sales page within Facebook.
Okay.
But what I have tested is a sales page on my fan page. Mm-hmm. So in other words, people come to the page, to the welcome page, where there's obviously a free gift, and then there's the wall and all the rest of it. But as one of my tabs is actually a sales page that allows them to buy my products. Now, why would I want that on there? Because if you are engaging with your customers and you have built a great relationship with them and you do have something they want, then you want to make it as easy as possible for them to get that. Yeah. Now, selling I love talking about selling because it's the one area that so many people are actually so very frightened to do. It's kind of like giving away free stuff is great, but once you get to the selling part, it's almost a dirty word. How dare you sell to me? But at the end of the day, that's what we're all in the business for. We're all in the business to make money. That's Absolutely. What we want to do. So selling is an intrinsic part of what you do, and you want to make it as easy as possible for a customer to buy from you for 2 reasons. Number one, that you're going to make the sale, and number 2, that they are going to get your material. I see the Social Networking Academy as my duty to find customers for it. A, because of course I want to make the money, but B, because there's so much information, I want to make sure people are seeing it. So it's important to make it as easy as possible for people to buy. So I have no issues with actually having a sales page somewhere on your business page, but I certainly wouldn't send customers directly to it.
Right, okay, I understand. That's fantastic. And with the learning curve, I mean, at the start of this conversation you mentioned stuff going on every day, all the time. I've always been amazed, Joe, at your ability to study something, digest it, then communicate it to us and implement it. How, this is moving sort of just straight on to Joe Barnes now. How do you manage to do that so often with so much stuff happening in it's almost like, you don't wait every 2 or 3 weeks and say, right, these 3 or 4 things have happened. I mean, it happens, boom, you study it, boom, you ping it out. How do you manage that process?
God, that's a good question. Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, just, as I was saying earlier, this week with Google Plus, that took me by surprise. And I hadn't planned it in my diary at all to kind of suddenly be messing around with a whole brand new social network. And so it kind of took almost a whole day out of my week, really, while I sort of played with it. And then, Mucha, it's about taking action, I think, is probably the answer. Many people think so much. And I grew up in an environment where my mother has always said to me, stop thinking too much and just get out there and do it. And I am a bit of a thinker, actually, but I also have a very action-orientated partner, life partner, as well as business partner, and so he is very, let's just do it, and it kind of, there's pros and cons to that. Sometimes you end up doing things that you're not quite prepared for, and you think, gosh, I wish I'd thought a bit more about that, and then other times, you do just get out there and do it. So, for instance, this week with the Facebook features, I don't know. I knew the announcement was coming. I set up my layout. We've got our green screen in our lounge at the moment, so we set all of that prior to the announcement. I listened to the announcement. I immediately jumped up and made a video all about it, so that we could get that out there and make sure everybody kept informed. And then the following day, as soon as I'd got all the new features on Facebook, I just sat down and made a video about it, so I could make sure everybody had all of that information up to date. Another thing I do is I have Google Reader, and I have Google Alerts. So I basically put all of the blogs, everything that's within my niche, all of the blogs and the websites and information that I'm interested in, I put those within my Google Reader as RSS feeds. And I also have Google Alerts. I use Google Alerts where I put in search terms that I want information on, and that can be seen by my reader as well. And every day pretty much I look at Google Reader and just have a quick look at what's going on, and I suppose it's the ability to be able to pick out the most important things.
That's a gift though, Joe, that really is, because there's so much stuff. Have you seen that new advert for Virgin Media with Mark Warren, and he's sort of sitting there and it's like he's at a fairground and there's just stuff going around his head and he just can't, and that's what social media is often like. Every day people are just punting stuff out, but you have that gift of being able to get something and say, right, this is valid, this is, and I suppose as a small business, this is so important, because when we get 10, 15 things thrown at us, I need to know which 3 or 4 do we so need and which ones can we discard,
Yeah, it is important. It is very important to know what is important. But I suppose that also comes from, if I go back to my early days, everything was important. Yeah, but now I know Facebook so well. I think it comes with experience as well. It comes with knowing actually what are the important parts. And what is the right. And you're so right. So many people, but you will notice as well, so many people are punting stuff out there, but a lot of people are punting the same stuff.
Yeah.
So you just have to kind of pick through. And Facebook as well is amazing for that. Facebook has this function. I don't want to confuse your listeners, but Facebook now has this amazing function which I just think is so powerful, where you can actually log in as your business page. So rather than logging in as yourself, you can now actually choose to switch and log in as your business page. And what I've done is, it's a great way for drumming up business, but the other thing, it's great for research. And what I've done is I actually go in as my business page and go and like all of the pages within my niche that have all the latest information. And then all I need to do to get all the latest information is to log on as my page, go to my news feed, and it's going to bring up all the latest posts from all the pages that I like.
Right.
So, it's the wonderful thing about the internet is that all the information that you need it's out there. It's at your fingertips. You just have to, it's my job to research and to find the latest updates to ensure that my community are kept informed.
So, Joe, I know people are going to want to learn more about you, find out about what you're doing, and also the Social Networking Academy. So where can people find you, learn more about you? You've always got some goodies to offer for some people. Tell us where they can tap into your knowledge.
Well, of course, I'm on Facebook. So if you just go to facebook.com/Social Networking Academy, that's where you'll find us on Facebook, or I'm on facebook.com/Joe Barnes Online. So they can find me and the Social Networking Academy there, or they can go straight to thesocialnetworkingacademy.com. That's thesocialnetworkingacademy.com. And what people will find, way before I ask you to think about becoming a member or anything like that, is there's lots and lots of free training. So if you want to know how to actually build a Facebook page and how to put a welcome page on there, I've got a full training course all about that that's completely free, including templates, so that you don't actually need to know anything about coding or anything to be able to get your welcome page live on Facebook, because you do need to use coding to do that. And I've got free templates that you can use to get your welcome page up there. Plus there's another free course on there if you're a bit more technically minded, which is called Create a Website on Facebook. And this shows you how to use the WordPress platform and actually build an entire website and place it within your Facebook page. So those courses are completely free. Plus, just on the Facebook page, just stay tuned on there because I'm always releasing free videos about the latest updates. This week I sent out a video about SSL certificates because Facebook very soon are going to be saying that you can only browse using a secure connection. So if you've got pages on Facebook, you need something called an SSL certificate. So I sent out a video all about that to make sure everybody was updated with that. I sent out a video about Google+. I sent out a video about the new Facebook features. Plus, I do a weekly mini TV show called SNA TV with all the latest updates as well. And that's all completely free. So it'd be lovely to see some of you at the page.
Well, Joe, you continue to be a real inspiration to me. I know you're going to continue to come from a place of immense service to everybody, and I just really want to thank you for today, and thank you for, since last August, all the support you've provided, and just keep on keeping on, because it's some really fantastic stuff you're doing out there.
Well, thank you very much, Much. I appreciate you asking me to do this interview this morning. I've really enjoyed it, and it's wonderful to speak to you. You are an action taker yourself, sir. So I look forward to seeing the results from you over the next few months as well.
Thanks ever so much, Joe. Look forward to speaking to you very soon, and take care of yourself.
Thank you.